I want to tell you a story about no one's coming to save you. This could sound really depressing, but it's a memory I have of one December night. I was heading to Dorset on the train. The wind and the rain was lashing it down, as it does. It was quite a long journey, so it took about 3 or 4 hours from my home. And I was about maybe an hour away. The train had been moving along nicely. Everything was working out brilliantly. We got to Southampton Central, and lo and behold, we stopped at the station and we sat there. And across the tannoy came this message: "We're holding you here because there's flooding. We're just waiting for it to be cleared." Of course, by this time it was I think it was around 10 p.m. It was late. It was really getting late, and it was dark and it was wet. And really, there's no chance of them clearing a flood at that time of night. Right, back to where I was. Um, anyway, there was a lot of people on this train still, and they were kind of not really moving. Most people weren't moving. And I was kind of wondering, what am I going to do here? It's a bit awkward because I'm a long way away from my destination. I mean, maybe an hour on a train, but actually, deepest, darkest Dorset could take ever such a long time, particularly down country roads. And after a while, sort of we were chatting on the train, what are you going to do? And people were putting in phone calls, and their loved ones were coming to pick them up because they weren't far away. They were in Bournemouth, which is the next stop on. And so the train started to empty out, and people started to leave the carriage that I was on and head for the taxis. So that's what I did. I kind of got to a point, there wasn't a lot of information coming through. I went out and spoke to the train conductor, and he said, look, I don't think anything's going to happen tonight. It was getting late. It was getting really late. It's probably 11 by the time I'm here. Anyhow, I went to the train. I went out of the train station until the gates were open. And there was a massive queue of people. Everyone was kind of clamouring for taxis on their phones, taxis pulling up, all that kind of stuff. There's quite a few taxis around, but the queue was huge, and I knew it was going to be a wait. So I went back into the train station, and typically my Uber account was locked down because my payment card was out of date, and I couldn't remove it from the system. I had to new one. And anyway, I don't even know if Uber works in Hampshire. And so I Googled looking for local taxi places, but they were all engaged. And I contacted my parents who were waiting for me, and also my partner who waved me off and said goodbye. And they weren't really able to help me. The only thing we were thinking was get a hotel. But really, what struck me at that moment, sitting there waiting, with my cases around my feet, with all these people having people coming to get them, or, they lived locally, was nobody's coming to save me. I just had that going around in my head. Nobody is coming to save you, Carrie. Nobody's coming to save me. And it's so similar to what it's like to have a spiritual awakening or to go through the dark night of the soul, because actually no one is coming to save you. You might have been thinking something was going to be different, things are going to pan out differently, or you're waiting for something. But you know what? What you're waiting for is you. You're the only one coming to save you. And with that knowledge comes a relief, great power, just knowing that you're enough. And that was really important to me. So yeah, no one is coming to save you. But the point of this whole message and story is actually you are the most powerful person playing out in your life. I went out onto the outside of the train station again, and there were still people about, and there was lots of comings and goings with taxis. And I thought, how am I ever gonna get home? But actually, I'd kind of steeled myself that I was going to get there, and I wasn't going to be getting a hotel. Well, Betsy, wait, Betsy, and I ended up amazingly getting a free taxi, not free as in cost, but a free available taxi, with a lovely Iranian gentleman who drove me like hell for leather through the rain and the darkness for over an hour to get me to my destination. And I actually got everything paid for as well, which was amazing. But until I had that epiphany, I guess I would have been just sitting there waiting for somebody to show me a line, or the conductor to tell me we're moving, or one of the people around me in the carriages to say, oh yeah, this is going to happen, or do this, or here's the number to get the right taxi. But nobody actually did. It was just me having that kind of moment of it dawning on me that nobody was coming to save myself. And so that's the story. That's the story. No one is coming to save you, but that's okay, because actually you're able to save yourself. And knowing that means that you've always got the resources you need somewhere inside to help yourself. And that's incredibly liberating. And what's the word? I'm looking for a word here. Hang on, Betsy. Assertive.